Hey guys, so all those onions that I harvested, today's processing day and they're going in the freeze dryer. So here are the 6 pounds of onions that we grew, and I'm going to cut all the tops off. All right, so I cut the greens off the onions. Usually I do preserve them and save them. Quite honestly, my husband's not a fan, and I have a pantry full of them from previous years of growing onions and really not getting the bulbs. I cut most of the roots off, and I got my sink sanitized, and what I'm going to do is just give them a quick rinse to get the dirt off and start cutting them up. So after I rinse them off, I peel any outer layers off to make sure that there's no dirt. This part's going to get cut off, and I'll give it a quick rinse, and I'm going to chop them up in the chopper to make it easy. So when I chop them up, I've already done about 6 of them, and you can see that they're a very small diced onion, and that works great. So I'm going to put these on the tray and keep going. I have 3 trays of diced onions, and so I went out to my garden and I got some herbs: cilantro, basil, oregano, parsley, and some dill. So I'm going to put them in there as well. I usually put them on the top. I don't have any problem with onion taste, and I think that's because my drain hose is pointed down and actually tie strapped down to the table leg to drain the water out so it doesn't get sucked back in. And the water is what really retains the odor. So normally I would freeze these before I put them in. It gives the freeze dryer a break. However, I'm going to put these right in now because it's a good time, and then that way by tomorrow they'll be done. It actually was a few days later, and that was because the machine was not pulling a vacuum, which meant that there was an opening in the system. And that was because when I took it apart and washed it, I did not put something back all the way, and that would not allow it to create a vacuum. So thankfully I got it all fixed, and you can see everything here is nice and dry, and it's done so quickly once you get the machine going. So basically all I did was open the bag so that the pleated part was open and they could stand up on their own, so I could put the oxygen absorbers in there, and then it'll make it easier to hold the bag to fill them. And I always reseal my oxygen absorber bag when I am done. Now it's time to get the gloves on and get those bags filled up with all of those onions. So because the trays are fairly full, it was just easier to use my hand to put them in there till I got to the end. So the air is squeezed out of the bag, and I've sealed it with the Ziploc seal that it has on the Mylar bag, and then I'm sealing it to make sure that it's good to go for the pantry. I tend to do it twice, probably overkill, but I think it's a good idea to make sure it's a good solid seal. Now that the last bag of onions is filled, I'm going to be moving on to the herbs that I freeze dried. For the herbs, I have sterilized, dry mason jars that I'm going to use, and I will throw an oxygen absorber in the jar as it's in my pantry or my spice cabinet, so that way I can use it first. The larger quantity herbs, or the herbs that I needed to mash up a little bit more so I can make them finer, I put them in a bowl, and I found that easier to crush them all at once before putting them in the jar. There you have it. 4 bags of diced homegrown onions for the pantry, along with some herbs. I will list them on the screen. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day. Take care.